Nithyanandam. Welcome to my second video on my YouTube channel. I'm here with Nithya Yogananda Swami, and we're here to talk about Nithyananda Yoga. But first, let me talk about how I became a Nithyananda Yoga Acharya. So I took my first yoga teacher training back in 2012, back in Miami, and the scene back in Miami was you could pay $3,000, take your yoga teacher training with any studio, and basically just learn your standard yoga, right? We were given the yoga, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, but at the same time, like, we're doing this, paying all of this money, but nobody could really explain to us what these scriptures actually meant.
Correct.
So, and how is that different than from with Nithyananda Yoga?
Yeah. So just to share also, my first teacher training I did was also in Miami in 2008. And I remember getting into it and feeling so new to the whole thing. So the whole world of yoga by itself is so interesting, so new. And so when we speak about yoga, we already think, okay, we know what yoga is about when we go out there in Miami, in our case, but all over the world, there's a certain understanding about yoga. But Nithyananda Yoga is actually something that is completely unknown. Somebody was sharing with us that it's a blind spot about yoga.
Yes.
That the world still doesn't know, which is the brahmanas and actually the authenticity of the tradition and the whole context and who created it and where it's coming from and all of these things. And that is a beautiful thing about Nithyananda Yoga, that the path that we have met is through Nithyananda Yoga. And by the grace of Swamiji, who's Paramahamsa Nithyananda, he's been showing us the way and the understanding of the authenticity of the tradition of yoga. And what it means and translates in our life. You know, we know that we know that the science and art of yoga is as old as, you know, it's more than 60,000 years old. So, but how is it practical and applicable in our daily lives?
Yes, and I've realized through taking the Nithyananda Yoga Teacher Training just last year that only an enlightened master can translate the scriptures, because he's coming from the enlightened space. So he's the only one that could bring it down to us and actually take us there.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, it is like decoding. I remember the first time I was introduced to some of the scriptures, which happened only when I met Swamiji. So many of the scriptures were there, and one time, a few years back, after I took sannyas, Swamiji told me, collect all the books from the library and read them all. And you have to know all of it. I remember when I collected the books, I was feeling, oh my gosh, I don't understand anything. I couldn't understand anything. It was like a completely different language. It was in English. Some of them had English translation. Thank God. Thank you, Swamiji, for making some of them. But whatever was there, it was not like easy to understand. I can read it, but it was not. It took me a long time to comprehend even the introductions. So I just decided, let me settle down with this. I was just surrounded by these books for some time. Basically, I took some with them. I would sleep with the books around me. I will work with the books around me. I will surround myself with these books all the time. And it was until one moment, the more completion, the more connection that my connection with Swamiji happened, when it was flourishing and flowering more. I understood that how the scriptures started to open themselves, reveal themselves to me. I was able to actually understand what they meant. And it was such an exciting thing to read the Shastras, to read what Sadashiva said, to read actually the depth of the science of yoga. And not only that, but having Swamiji open that understanding. Like, only when I'm listening to Swamiji's satsangs and when I'm sitting in front of him, the understanding, oh, this is what Sadashiva meant in this verse, in this sutra. This is what actually it means to have the drishti, the guru bhakti, or these different elements that are just words for, as you know, they're words in the book, but what do they mean? Swamiji is here to bring meaning to them, you know, and it's only, as you said, by the grace of a guru, of an enlightened master. And in our case, the greatest blessing is to have the avatar himself, Swamiji, the avatar of Sadashiva, revealing himself to us in the path of yoga. That's the most beautiful thing about Nithyananda Yoga.
Yes, and also having that connection to the enlightened master. He's giving us, like you said, that experience of translating these scriptures, giving us that Sakshi Pramana, that
Correct.
experience.
Yes.
And as yoga acharyas, I've noticed since my teachings have happened after the yoga training, I've been able to begin to give that experience to others. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful
Yes,
training.
yes, yes. So I think when we're talking about Shakshi and Shastra, people might not know really much about this. So we're making a video, stay tuned for that, where we're going to explain a little bit deeper into what the pramanas, what are the Shastra Pramana, what is Apta Pramana, these words that you will see us using quite frequently in our videos. We'll be sharing a little bit deeper about that.
So please stay tuned to my Facebook page, also my Nithya Yogananda Swami's page, and I'll put links to Nithyananda Yoga's Facebook page as well. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Nithyananda.
Nithyananda.